Welcome to the Voice of Mongolia podcast on MNB World. Today we have a really special guest from Seattle, United States, Mr. Oliver Claycamp. He's been teaching for 8 years, a teaching experience. And hello, Mr. Oliver. Please introduce yourself.
Hello. My name is Oliver Claycamp, and I've been in Mongolia for about 8 years. I've been teaching for longer than 8 years, actually. But I've been here about 8 years teaching at different schools, and I was really excited to come on to this podcast. So thank you very much.
Okay. Could you tell us, please, about how many years have you been in Mongolia and your experience and living and working experience, basically, in Mongolia?
Okay. Yeah. I've been here, as I said, about 8 years. I first came in 2004. I was a young man traveling the world, and I came here and started working at Jet English. Maybe you've heard of that one. And that's when I met my wife and got married. And then I've been coming back and forth ever since. And Mongolia has definitely changed since 2004. I can't believe it, how different it is now.
2004. How many years? That's 20 years?
20 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, as I know you, you're like one of the longest living teachers in Mongolia. One of the longest living.
Okay, yeah, I've been here a while, yeah.
Okay, and how is your book? Let's start with your book.
So I wrote this book. It's called Virtual Gods. Yeah, and right now it's at the Internome bookstore, and it'll be in other bookstores coming soon. And I wrote this book. It's a sci-fi adventure for mostly like teenagers and that kind of age group. And I'm really excited about it. It's a very exciting and action-packed book. It's about new technology, and it's very futuristic. So I'm really excited to get it out and get people to start reading it, because I really believe in it, and I think it's a good book and a good way to study the language.
Could you tell us where are the stores? Like, where are you selling?
Okay, right now I'm selling at the Internome by Moist is the main one, and then starting next week it will be at the Shangri-La.
Shangri-La.
Yeah,
great.
The Internome.
So anything else about the book? And you could show it the book, and it's really nice cover. It has a really nice cover.
Yeah. So this book is quite special. It's a very high-tech book, or futuristic. Here we have a special AR code. So that's something else I do, is make AR holograms. So a hologram will appear on the cover, and there's also a code for vocabulary to help students. So that will appear on the phone. And there's a lot of pictures, and it's a very action-packed and exciting book, and I think a lot of people will like it.
There's also pictures inside.
Yeah, there's definitely pictures, yes. Each chapter has a picture. It was a lot of fun to write, and I'm excited to get people to read it.
I've heard it has a really good plot story inside of it also.
Yeah, it's got a very exciting story. It's about a group of 6 kids, teenagers, who go on this very mystery adventure, and it's got a lot of history and action and technology, and so it's really exploring the future, and it opens up a lot of doorways for things that people should think about as all this new technology comes. What kind of dangers we might have in the future.
That's really an important topic.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you the next question. It's about advice for the people who are coming to Mongolia as a foreigner. Since you've been living for 20 years, what advice you want to give for new foreigners or new coming people?
New foreigners, I think just the typical advice. Just make sure you have the right kind of clothes if you're coming in the cold weather. Most people can't really understand how cold Mongolia gets.
Yeah.
So I often tell people, advise them that they really need to work hard to get the right kind of clothing and get ready for that. But otherwise, I think that Mongolia is not, it's not that scary of a place anymore. When I first came, I think it was more a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more wild and adventurous than it is now. I think it's got really kind of calmed down lately.
Got organized.
It's got a bit more organized. It's a bit less, aggressive on the streets and
Developing,
things. Developing. I think so.
Right.
I think it has developed.
Yeah, and it's 20 years. It's a lot of time. Sometimes, it's 20 years is not a short time for sure. And what's special been for staying for 20 years? What was your decision, or what's special about our country?
Yeah, well, it just happened that I got married here to a Mongolian woman, and so that kept me coming back and forth. And so, in a lot of ways, it's nice to be here. We have a lot of family here, and very used to this place. And it's been very interesting to see how Ulaanbaatar has developed. It used to be. I remember when I first came. The entire Zeisen region was just a field. There was nothing out there.
Oh.
And now it's so developed. So that's quite shocking to see all that changes.
Well, it's reason is your family for staying for 20 years.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else than your family? What's special about our country?
So besides what's special about Mongolia? Well, I really like Mongolian people. I've known a lot, and I think that Mongolian people can be very warm, and when they make friends, they can be really loyal and good friends, so I really like that. I think that Mongolian people are generally pretty straightforward and honest people, and pretty down to earth. So I've lived in a lot of different places all around Asia. And I think Mongolian people are one of my favorite Asian people, for sure.
Okay, that's a really nice of you, especially hearing it from you. And could you tell us about your family, since you've been
Sure.
Have a Mongolian family, and also I've heard that you can have a business with your family, and.
Right, sure. So my wife is the manager of Extreme Mongolia. That's a sports camp that's in Trilch.
Yep.
And that's a really nice camp. It's got the zip line and suspension bridge and a lot of different things. So people like to go there if you want to have a little bit more of a fun time, a little more adventure. And so that's her job, and her family runs that.
Been there. It was amazing.
Yeah, right. It's a lot of fun to go there. It's a really beautiful area, and people usually enjoy when they go there. And I also have 3 children. My oldest son, Noah, he's 15, and he's in 9th grade. And they are going to the elite international school. And then my second son is Tobias, and he's 12. And my daughter is Azura, and she just turned 6.
Yeah. And it's been an amazing. I've been there myself. We've been there together, and since you're working and worked at Absolute English and for a long time, and could you tell us about Absolute School of English and about the school?
Yeah, well, I've worked at several different schools across Ulaanbaatar, and I really think that Absolute is one of the best schools as far as the culture and the management and how students are treated. Students really seem to enjoy it there, so there's always a lot of students. It's as much of a
like a
school, like club kind of time as it is a school, because you always see a lot of students there, and they really seem to enjoy coming and just spending time there and going to the library and studying and taking advantage of the different clubs and different extracurricular activities. So, I believe it, and I've heard from a lot of other students, it is really one of the best English schools in Mongolia.
Yeah, certainly, sure. Yep, and how do you see a future of Mongolia?
I don't know. It's a good question. I'm hopeful that things will improve. Maybe the roads will improve, and traffic will get better. Maybe something can be done about the air pollution problem. So I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. I see signs up that maybe metro is going to come.
Oh yes.
Yeah, they've been talking about that since the very first time I came to Mongolia in 2004. They've been talking about getting some kind of metro going. So I'm not going to hold my breath this time, but hopefully it does happen, and that would be amazing. That would be a real help.
Yes, that will be really helpful for transportation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For sure. All right, and what's next for you? Like, what do you see? Like, what's your next for your career? Do you?
Well, I'm working on my business. I have a technology company.
Oh yeah.
And we do a lot of different kinds of augmented and virtual reality products. And so my family and I are thinking about moving back to America, maybe this year, and maybe start a business there.
In America?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going back to Seattle?
Probably not Seattle. Yeah.
Do you have anything in mind? What city would you?
We're still looking around at what
For a
city.
good city.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's I'm hearing it from you. Like you're gonna go back to the States and okay. And anything else that you want to add in this interview? Since you're are you working on the writings? Like, how do you see yourself in the future? Are you like become a writer?
Yeah, I'd be happy to be a writer. I mean, I have written, so I am a writer, I guess. But I would be happy to, write more books and put them out. I really enjoy doing that, and I also enjoy promoting and marketing my books. So it'll be some kind of combination of that, writing and promoting and marketing, using new technology. I find it really fun, so I hope that I'm going to get to do that more.
Virtual gods, yeah?
Yeah,
That's
virtual
really
gods,
good.
available now at your local internome. And and also what's exciting about it, I didn't bring it here today, but actually there's a stand for the book, and that has augmented reality. So you scan it with your phone and the whole thing comes to life. A book starts flying around, and so it's very interesting, exciting thing.
It's animation, yeah. I'm sure I wanted to read it. And,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a really good plot, and since you are like really, I would say, of kind of a storytelling person. You like a lot of about American stories and
Sure.
about like storytelling. That you have a good legends, and I'm sure like there will be really exciting for Mongolian people to read also.
Sure. Well, if you're interested in reading it, I want you to go and take this copy. It's
Oh wow!
a gift for you.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's really amazing book, and looks really futuristic, right?
Right.
It's technology.
Yeah.
Thank you for the book. I'm sure I'm gonna read it, and hopefully it's really easy to read.
Okay,
And, yeah.
I think so.
Moving on to the next question. Could you also like tell us your experience in teaching, like, or maybe like people who want to learn English language as for Mongolians, and tell us like how to learn English, as you know, like your experience, very experienced teacher. You could tell us like an easy,
The easy way to learn
easy
English.
ways, yeah.
I don't know about how easy it is to just learn English, but a lot of students now are spending, as they grow up, they're watching a lot of YouTube, for example, and that really gives them a leg up in language. So a lot of them are coming in to the school and they can already speak quite well. So that's been a big change I've noticed. So exposure to material in the target language, or in English, that really does help children, and that's a really fast way to kind of get them going.
Expose
to
English materials.
Yeah, expose them to English materials, and otherwise putting them in a class is a really nice way, because that gets a very supportive environment, and people are making sure that that the students are progressing nicely, and they can make some friends and have a kind of a social experience too. And I think that all these things come together to make it a very positive experience for learning the language quickly. And that's kind of experience that students have at Absolute. It's very studious, academic, but also a lot of fun. So I think students enjoy being there, and I think they learn quickly.
Yes, exactly. Also, like talking with lots of teachers, like speaking, for example, helped me a lot to learn English and expressing myself.
Right. Yeah. That's a very important thing. Speak freely.
Yep. Okay, I have another question for you, and it's about Mongolian culture. Basically, like how did you felt like basically coming here first time? Like, I think as an American person, you could just be in a cultural shock, and I don't know, it's how did it went well, like especially the traditional side of Mongolia.
Yeah. So when I first came here, I already lived in China for a year before that.
Oh wow.
So I was kind of ready for it, but Mongolia was definitely different. Not really anything like China at all. And so it was very exciting for me to come here. I had an apartment. Now it's completely built up, but at that time it was, completely new district, and I was very much on my own. And I had to try to figure out things by myself, and I didn't speak any of the language, and I didn't really have anyone to help me. And it was also very aggressive back then. You know, people would hit me in the streets, and a lot of fighting and stuff. So it's very different than it is now. So it was very adventurous and wild time. But I always enjoyed especially when going out to the countryside and meeting people and seeing the traditional lifestyle. I always thought that was very fascinating, and I loved it.
Yeah. Since you taught a lot of English for Mongolian people, and how do you see like Mongolian students? Like, what's their special? Like, how do you see like how Mongolian people differentiate from like different students of other countries?
Okay. Yeah. I think people say that Mongolian students learn quickly and then forget quickly. Oh. Right?
Yeah. Happens.
Right. So I think that as far as learning English goes, Mongolian students are very, very fast at picking up the language and generally sound quite good. They can, once they get over the kind of the Russian sounding accent, then it's very smooth. And I think it's a lot better than either Chinese or Koreans. I think Mongolians have a definite advantage in learning English. So yeah, I've always had a fairly good time at classes, and I felt the students learn well.
Do you notice? Do we have like accents or?
Sure. Yeah. You don't have an accent, but yeah, some Mongolians definitely do. It depends on what their first language was. If they learn Russian first, then they tend to have a Russian accent. Yeah. Like that. But then there's kind of a traditional Mongolian accent too, which is kind of a making the ra sla sla, and so make more of the sounds, the Mongolian sounds, and take into English.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember my first Mongolian friend. He said, saying the word gorilla, he'd say gorilla.
Oh yeah, it happens still. Yeah, for sure. And Mongolia is a really interesting country, and since you're a really established teacher in an absolute school of English, I think lots of students are really know you, and by looking at you and now here, I think you're really established from what I see. Yep. And do you have any like advice for Mongolian students or English speakers who's trying to speak, and or maybe it's someone who's trying to live in America, and maybe someone Mongolian person who's trying to live in America as a native person?
Yeah.
You could say.
Well, advice
or for me.
Yeah. My advice in moving to America, America
or traveling.
Even traveling to America, is America's having a very, it's got a lot of problems right now. So, I don't know. I think if you're going to move to America, you should be very careful about where you move to and what area of the country like that. Because there's definitely some areas of the country where I don't want to live, and I wouldn't recommend anyone else go there. So But otherwise, I think you can find a nice place in America. I did my undergraduate at Bloomington, Indiana, and that's a beautiful little town, and that's actually where the Dalai Lama likes to go. That's his second home in America.
Oh, wow.
And it has a good Mongolian community there. So I'd really recommend, if you're thinking about a nice place to go, Bloomington is a great place. It's quite close to Chicago. So
Indiana?
Bloomington, Indiana, right.
Indiana States.
Yeah, so you can, it's like only 4 hours away from Chicago, so you're still quite close to everything, but it's a very peaceful and nice place.
Yeah, and I've heard everything is like really secluded, like you have to go by a car.
Yeah, right.
To go in America.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and
True.
well, what else? Anything you want to talk about America? Like we could talk about America for our listeners, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Since people are really interested in your country, and it's
Right.
a really big country. Like it has a lot of things.
It is a big country.
Yeah.
320 million people, so it's a big country, yeah. I don't know, do you have any specific question? Anything more?
Well,
Interesting.
for maybe it's for university students that coming for United States, and yeah, basically,
Yeah.
for like the students talk, you could just advise it.
Okay. Well, I give some of the same advice I give to my students. Is the university is changing a lot now, and it's not. People tend to think that it's still like this very golden ticket to having a job in the future, but now a lot of new statistics come out that maybe 4 or 5 out of 10 students, after they graduate, they don't end up working in that field at all, and now universities in America have become very expensive. So it's on some of them it's upwards of $90,000 per year. So it's really, really expensive. And on top of that, if you're not able to get a job afterwards, that's terrible. So it can be a big waste of money, and if you don't plan correctly. So it's really good to look at what are the top jobs coming up in the future, and what kind of thing you can find that you make sure that you're going to have it, be able to work and make that money back.
Specialize in it.
Specialize, yeah. I mean, as AI comes in and everything is starting to really change the job market. So it's a very difficult time for students right now to try to choose which field to study, what's the best choice. No one knows really, but the best thing to do is to be careful about it and think hard before making a big decision like that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that's a really good advice from you, and thank you for your advice, Mr. Oliver.
Okay.
And hope you really wishing you really good and warm wishes to your family. All right, Mr. Oliver, that's really good advice from you. Thank you for your advice. It's really helpful. I think it's going to be helpful for the students and for the future comers to United States and or maybe in Mongolia foreigners. And thank you for your book also. And I'm gonna close right now. That's the end of our discussion, this episode of Voice of Mongolia, MNB World. And see you on the next episode. Thank you very much for tuning in. See you in the next episode.